Well, here we are again, back looking at the madness. So much corruption, so little time to cover it, really. That's what it comes down to. So a lot's been happening again, and quite a bit of it is centering around Trump's legal team. Now, before I go on with that, I just want to take a moment. It also appears that Rick Gates is going to spew his guts. So remember, one of the very first readings I did was on Paul Manafort and Rick Gates. And I said at the time, even though they both pleaded not guilty, Rick Gates was the weak link and much more likely to cave. And it seems that's happening. There are legal maneuverings behind the scenes, and it appears Rick Gates, as I predicted, is now talking. So that will play out. Now, the other thing that's been happening centers around one of the legal eagles for Trump, Don McGAHN. Now, when he was appointed, Politico magazine described him as an enabler for Trump, and he has proved thus. So he was behind Comey's sacking. Then he stepped back from Trump. Trump ordered him, this is as I understand it, you guys might have a slightly different take, but as I understand it, Trump then asked McGAHN to fire Mueller. McGAHN said, "No, bridge too far, I'll resign if you make me do that." So Trump stepped back from firing Mueller. This is back several months. But Don McGAHN, remember that name, stepped in again, and he pressured Jeff Sessions not to recuse himself over the Russia investigation. They wanted their man as the Attorney General, of course. So that actually forms part of the obstruction of justice argument that Mueller is making with Trump. So he's also the one who paid off the porn star, Stormy Daniels. Now that made me focus a bit more on Don McGAHN. So this reading's in two parts, two quick readings. One on Don McGAHN himself, will he be subpoenaed? And the other is, will Trump actually be fully subpoenaed by Mueller? What will happen there? So here comes a two-parter. So just so the regular viewers know, I have to go away for a week interstate next week. So I'm going to stock you up on videos. So it's up to you guys how you deal with it. Some of you may choose to binge watch. Others might sort of eke them out over a few days, but I won't be gone long. And of course I don't even want to go away because so much will happen, and you watch, there'll be big news while I won't be able to make videos. So I'll only be gone 1 week, and I'll be back as soon as humanly possible. But in the meantime, I'm stocking you up. So this reading, probably very furry from where you're sitting. The first one, Don McGAHN, the lawyer. Will McGAHN be subpoenaed by Mueller? Will McGAHN be subpoenaed? Will McGAHN be subpoenaed? I mean, who could dream up this stuff? McGAHN, subpoena. Okay, have a little look-see. And straight off the ranks, what do we have? Justice, the justice card. So that would be an indication in the affirmative. Will Don McGAHN be subpoenaed? I wouldn't be surprised, and I would say yes. Okay. So headed up with the justice card. The next three cards, I'll do one more here, yes, that sort of makes it more balanced, getting a better picture here. So the Four of Wands, willpower, well-established people in the community, allegedly celebrating, but as regular viewers will note, the decorations are starting to sag a bit. The proportions are not flattering to those who think they're the big wigs. They've forgotten the people behind, and you probably can't see on this camera, but the smaller figures, i.e. normal people, are not even looking at the people who are celebrating. So in this card, in this position, I'm thinking he's trying to tough it out, and this would suggest that he's going to just keep with the party line for now. In the center of his readings, the King of Pentacles. Now, the King of Pentacles could be Trump as the man who is surrounded by money and greed, but I suggest it's Don McGahn's reading. I think it's him. I think he has done stuff for money that he now regrets. And I think it was in The Hill I was reading just today, where investigative journalists are beginning to say one of the common factors in all of Trump's big legal scandals is Don McGAHN. So being convinced that he's famous in legal circles, that is, not so much a household name, but he's made a reputation for himself for being the tough guy, sniper lawyer, that sort of fame. He's done some very ugly things for money that are now going to be looked at through the justice system. He is beginning to realize himself that the battles are just beginning. This is far from over, and regardless of what they've told Trump, the battles are ongoing, and this represents Don McGAHN now fighting off the legal ones, the staffs of the law. Again, we have a legal card in justice being blind and so on, that associated imagery. The swords of the intellect, words, mental gymnastics going on. But if you notice the water behind, in an emotional sense, he's at a crossroads right now as we speak. Is he going to reveal what he knows and virtually have to cut a deal for himself? Or is he going to try and continue to tough it out? I don't know. Let's have a look at some more cards. The Hierophant and Temperance. All right. The Hierophant, very like Justice, representing the system of law and order, representing the hierarchy in terms of this is a very senior figure, almost clerical in nature, like the Pope with the monks, but it's more, in this case, of the legal system. He's been out-muscled by Mueller. I really, really think he is going to be subpoenaed. And he's got the Temperance card of weighing up. This is a card of making a decision, and he's still weighing it up. It's the one cup to the other cup, representing in a normal reading the positive and the negative, and bringing things together and the integration of different forces. He's suddenly fighting for his legal life. If he goes down in this for obstruction of justice and his role in it as a lawyer, then he won't be able to work again as a lawyer. So what we've got in this whole Trump case is a situation where the lawyers themselves, as I said in that dedicated reading to the lawyers themselves are bent. The lawyers themselves are deeply corrupt individuals, and Mullah, just by following the money, have found out some very grisly things about Don McGAHN. So I'm prepared to go out on a limb and say I think he will be subpoenaed, and I don't think it's going to go well for him. And if he's going down, why the hell would he protect POTUS? I'll leave you with that thought. So now we're going to move to the second part of this reading, about whether the unspeakably vile POTUS will actually be subpoenaed. Because he keeps wittering on, you know, oh, of course I don't mind being interviewed. Oh, maybe I won't be interviewed. Yes, I will be interviewed, but it'll be fine. No, I won't. My lawyers say it's all right. No, it's not all right, Donald. It's so not all right. And you're taking a lot of people down the toilet with you. Okay. So just give me a moment to really mix these cards up before we get to the Donald. In the meantime, I want to say again, thanks guys for the comments. Love the comments. Keep them coming. So I've tried to get back as often as I can. So go back and see what I've said if you've had particularly meaningful questions. I also think, just as a general reminder, with the comments, I think it's really important to have an online community. You know, it's becoming now with the regular commentators there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can really see where you're coming from, and it really helps give me the energy and incentive to keep going with these, because I enjoy doing them. But the comments are really, really important. So keep those coming up. So this next short reading will be, will the Donald testify? Will Donald Trump testify? You've got to admire Mullah. Who'd be in his shoes? God, what a commitment. Will Donald testify? Okay, let's see. The Donald. All right, coming down here. Okay, the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands. Often commerce and trade, but it's more than that. It's the international aspect. So having international dealings. So in essence, if he does testify, and hopefully we'll find out in this reading whether that's the most likely thing to happen, it will be about the international stuff, i.e. Russia. So although he will be asked if he's in that situation, obviously other campaign things about his domestic campaign and so forth, the real nitty-gritty is following the commerce and the money to Russia. Okay. We have the Eight of Wands. He will, I think from this, my general sense is he will be called up, and I think there will be a barrage of questions. If you think of, it's, how to put this, things are speeding up, okay? So as Muller hopefully is getting to the last part of what he's doing, please God, can we wait much longer? Things are speeding up, and there's all these, they're wands in the tarot, but they're also very spear-like, they're also like arrows. There's a lot of action moving towards it. He, in his heart of hearts, wants to wind back to the time before he was POTUS and things were good. So that's nostalgia, that's his feeble budgerigar brain just wishing it away. The Hanged Man. At this stage, in this context, in this reading, it's a card of sacrifice. I'm not implying that he's got a sacrificial nature, because he hasn't. I think he's suspended, not knowing what's going to happen, right? He's under increasing pressure, but he doesn't know what's next. Why doesn't he know what's next? Because he doesn't listen and he doesn't accumulate a body of knowledge. He just reacts and raves. So he's just waiting for the next axe to fall and hoping it's all going to go away and be like it was. But it is not. So let's see what's coming up. News is coming forth. You could say with this, remember, I've said before, this is an interaction between the king, a courtier card. So this could be someone who literally brings the subpoena to Trump, right? In the context of this reading, that would be one interpretation of it. So I do see it as more likely than not. I can't say 100%, but more likely than not. He will just try and fight it off, but it's a fight in vain. Things are accelerating now, and they're getting much more dangerous for him. And he's got the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords. So this looks to me, if you look at these two cards, the Eight of Wands and the Nine of Swords, it's like a lot of weapons. Just in those two cards, there's a lot of weapons. And the weapons are finally turning around and turning around onto this man. So I would see that as a case of Donald Trump in deep caca, up to his short and curlies and beyond, and he could end up drowning in his own shit. If he did go ahead and testify, let's just ask that as a question. Will he take the Fifth Amendment and just shut up? I can't see POTUS shutting up in any context. He is uninstructable and unhelpable in legal terms, like I do talk to a lot of lawyers about this issue, and he would be the world's worst client because you can't actually advise him. So my next mini question to finish is, will he plead the Fifth or will he speak? Oops. I'll come back to that. Plead the Fifth or will he speak? Plead the Fifth or will he speak? What fell out? The Ten of Swords. As if the Nine of Swords wasn't enough. Together, Ten of Swords, that's the end of a cycle. Tens represent the culmination of something. He is absolutely going to be skewered, I think, on his own testimony. A quick look here. Essentially, as I was just saying, I was just speaking off the top of my head as Lena, the sociologist, not necessarily the tarot reader, saying he wouldn't help himself. But this is how I see the Chariot charging forth, not being able to stop speaking. The Page of Wands is about speaking. It's about oratory. He would see speaking as making his case, as explaining this away. He thinks he's capable of that sort of thing. He actually thinks he has such a marvellous mind that he can get on top of a team of 20 lawyers who are devoted to tripping him up. He actually has that ego. And the reason he has that ego is because he is Fred Flintstone. So I think he is going to be subpoenaed. I think he is going to speak. And I think the exquisite beauty of this is he's going to do himself in with his own flapping tongue. Is there anything more exquisite? Bye.